Hello, good afternoon. Welcome, everybody, as you start coming on in. I'm Nick Perro. This is Banner and Backbone, and I am joined by my friend Tara Devlin of Tara Buster. Hey, Tara, how are
Hey
you
guys. Hello. Hey Nick. Hi everybody.
today? And we are here, as we are every Friday, for the Banner and Backbone Anti-Fascist Book Club, presented through and with the support of my friend Chris Goldsmith, over at the Veterans Fighting Fascism, who wrote the model and the framework for what we're doing. So welcome everyone. The book club. We are here for another great Friday. Smash the heart as you come on in. And we are covering, today is part 2. Oh, perfect timing as we are introing. Good morning, Chris. Welcome, my friend.
Hey Chris.
Hey, how goes it?
It's going pretty well. You're in a different spot today.
Yeah,
Very,
it looks
very
like you're in the
underground
bunker.
looking.
I have moved the office into the basement, so now it's an office studio space.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Nice. You
It
look
does-
like you're
it-
bunkering today.
Yes, it has that bunker feel. So
It definitely does have
Well
a bunker
done.
feel.
well done.
And Chris, I'll send you your invite link for co-hosting, so your name should be able to pop up on the live feed here pretty soon. I'll drop it in our chat, but we're just introducing ourselves again, as we always do, and what the book club is and what it isn't. And we're getting ready to say, welcome back to Catch Fascist by Christopher Matthias. Is it Matthias or Mathis?
I think it's
Matthias.
Matthias. Yeah.
Matthias. Okay. Christopher
I have to
Matthias.
Go run out of frame to get my book.
Where today we're going to be continuing our discussion. Last week we ended on chapter 2, where we had been going through the introduction of what this story was about, plus talking about some of the relevant cultural impacts and things that are related to these events, and how we're seeing different aspects of them still playing out in real time for us over what's happening now. And so maybe we do, once Chris gets back on, after he's doing all his stuff, it's live, we do live shit, is maybe get a little bit of your thoughts, Chris, on the beginnings of the book, and because you've actually had the chance to interview the author, and you've read through the whole thing, plus you have a lot of experience in this area, and so I'd love to hear your thoughts on, because you've spoken very highly about this book, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the beginnings of it and some of the impacts that you're seeing compared to, say, Patriot Front and groups like that, and the accelerationist side of the movements.
Yeah, so this book is everything that I have wanted people to know for like 5 years. And I do not mean that with any exaggeration at all. It contextualizes the extremist movements and how organized they actually are. So many people, and myself included, until just a few years ago, when they see these extremist groups out on the street, they don't have the full context of understanding A, what they're doing, B, why they're doing it, and C, what the relevance is culturally and politically. A lot of us have kind of dismissed the neo-Nazis for far too long as fringe elements who don't have a real place in politics. Though I think the last year has woken people up to the fact that Stephen Miller is a white nationalist, and he is using white nationalist policy to guide the laws that we all live under today, and the enforcement that we live under today. So one of my favorite little mentions in the book right up in the beginning is a reference to Bad Gabriel, who is a friend of mine who I deployed with, who is the one who actually got me to infiltrate Patriot Front for the first time. And the way that he kept himself sane because he was in person pretending to be a Nazi,
Mm.
was that he was training them how to fight. He was an army combatives instructor, award-winning, like a brick shit house before he joined the army, and then got tougher. So he was teaching Patriot Front how to fight by fighting them. He had them convinced because they're all, that they have this really sensitive lack of confidence in their own masculinity. He told them, you can't learn to fight until you get knocked out. So he kept himself sane by knocking out members of Patriot Front. So
Right.
my only hope is that they actually remember their training.
Wow.
Because I'm not sure that they would remember everything.
And Chris, I dropped a link for you in our private chat here. If you're able to accept that, it should pop your name up and notify your subs that you're live with us too. Yeah, I remember you talking about that story a little bit. Wonder if that actually helped. There should be 2 links in our chat. The second one should be the one you need. And that said, like, getting to where we are in the book, like even in the first couple chapters, it's pretty obvious that I want to get your thoughts on it too, from someone who's infiltrated groups like this before, is looking at Vincent's mindset. It seems he knows he's doing the right thing, but at the same time he's questioning while he's doing the things, should I stop it here and now? How does that go through your head, and what type of situations did you realize where this isn't the right moment, or this is the right moment?
Mhm.
Yeah. So when I infiltrated Patriot Front for the first time, and my buddy had been using the phrase Nazi or neo-Nazi to describe them, I thought that he was being hyperbolic. I did not understand until I was inside that they were reading National Socialist propaganda, what they described as propaganda. They were deliberately consuming propaganda to self-radicalize. These are the terms that they use, right? They're fully cognizant of it. So that eroded, for me, any myth about the idea of like the right-wing manosphere being this like thing that just sends people off into, neo-Nazi beliefs. I came to understand that it is a radicalization pipeline that is managed, that extremist organizations are basically running influence operations all around the country and internationally and online. And the effect of this is the promotion of conspiracy theories that have led, people like Dylan Roof to walk into a black church and murder people. It's led to the conspiracy theories that led to the massacre at the Tree of Life synagogue. So again, while I myself was kind of dismissing or not even considering the danger that neo-Nazis have in this country, once I saw it with my own eyes, I realized that I couldn't look away and I needed to do more. So what started as a, hey, I'm doing this thing with a buddy of mine, turned into a career and a couple of nonprofits so I could train other people to do similar work. Though I don't participate in research the way that I used to, I have shifted into doing this, into content creation. And the sad thing is, the reason why I don't do research is because I couldn't pay myself doing it. Like, there's a ton of Americans out there basically doing this kind of research, these infiltrations, these investigations, as hobbies because they don't pay. It's important work that law enforcement can't necessarily do. They can't go into these spaces without warrants. We don't want to live in a police state where police are infiltrating organizations at random. This is work that must be done by citizens, by civilians.
Well, wouldn't a fascist group would be a group that it's not at random. They are antagonistic to the government of the United States. And it's also a bar to entry into the military, as you guys know, being a right-wing fascist, being involved with these extremist groups. You're not supposed to be able to join the military, although it happens. And that's why they look over your body for those telltale signs. What are your tattoos and all? And I know we've all been, all of us in this conversation have served in uniform, so we know that. And to me, that's a comfort. But I know that they're trying to get rid of those laws barring fascists from actually joining. And yeah,
Yeah,
my-
I think just real quick, I think those laws are really just to satiate the masses, that they are, quote, looking for those types of tattoos, because we can see with examples like Graham Platter got into the Guard with a Totenkopf
right.
tattoo.
Well, that's
Or,
just, I wonder if that's just ignorance. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's really ignorance. I think it's a willful ignorance, where they just opt to ignore it if it's on a white guy, and they don't on others, because the US military has a history of promoting towards racism to recruit new members. Like, that's sort of how we got all of the Southern boys in World War II to come fight for us, was we renamed all of our bases after Confederate generals. Like, we had to appeal to their racism to get them in. So I think that's always been sort of a myth, to make the masses feel more comfortable with a standing army.
Right. Well, it's at least it is a policy. So
it is a policy, whether it's whether it's a practice policy or not.
Exactly.
It is a policy, but I think we can see that they're willfully ignorant about certain things.
Yeah, some people just turn a blind eye, I suppose, depending on their own agendas too. When you go through, I joined the military. I have screws in my knee, and that's a bar to entry right there. And the doctor said, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, I fell out of a tree." And he was like, he knew I wasn't telling the truth, but he let me in anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they let people in all the time that they're not supposed to let in. They overlook ADHD in a lot of folks. They overlook a lot of things because it's a volunteer force. Like, if you're going, if you're signing up and you're close, they want you as much as possible to fill the ranks. So they have to appeal to who they can, and they know often an easy target are these right wingers, these Boogaloo boys, or these now Patriot Front and whatever groups they're in, because it's less screened for. I know they do screen for like extremism. I mean, I was part of the intelligence community. That is part of the counterintelligence is screening for extremism. But it's hard to say when that works if the person who's doing the screening is also an extremist.
Well, there you go. Right. Exactly.
And so how do you know when you're self-policing when you're doing self-policing?
Exactly. Yep. But
so I think this is a great point too on like how they recruit. And so I'd like, Chris, I want to get your thoughts, because I know you've actively worked to stop these types of recruitments. Is one, now that you have a public face and a very much more visible profile, obviously that shifted your ability to ever go undercover and do this sort of so how do you ensure that what you're doing now still comports with what you were trying to do? And I know obviously like this is part of that. What we're doing right now is part of that model. But what are you doing to make sure that like we can be anti-fascist and continue to impose these costs that Chris is explaining in his book?
Yeah. So I'm laughing because even though my face is everywhere, and I've been a public figure for far longer than people have known about me on social media. Like I have been in documentaries. I've been, you know, profiled in Rolling Stone, every major newspaper, been on PBS, you name it, right? Despite all of that, I've been able to just use my real face. I've been able to go in person to QAnon events, took a photo with General Flynn. Like despite all of that, I'm still a relative unknown to the vast majority of the far right. And because I do this so openly and so brazenly, they see me everywhere now. And I, you know, am in these Telegram chats where I see these reports from neo-Nazi organizations being like, Christopher Goldsmith tried to infiltrate our organization, and we met him at XYZ place at this time, and blah blah blah. And they'll like post photos of some guy that they like interviewed to vet, and it'll be like a bald guy with a beard, which is a lot of their potential recruits, and
they just think it's you,
and they think it's me, and like. So,
wow,
you know, as far
that's
as imposing costs, there's a tremendous psychological cost that I've been able to impose simply by just being so open and so brazen, like doing this and announcing, you know, while I was in Patriot Front's servers still, when I was still a member of Patriot Front, I was live tweeting their response to the BuzzFeed article about my infiltration because I was still inside.
Oh, that's
they were
awesome.
Like,
well, that's fun.
Yeah. I mean, they were, and I enjoy watching them lose their shit. One of them, it's like my favorite tweet ever. I don't think it gained any traction. Was someone posted in the Patriot Front rocket chat, like, "Oh, I hate traitors," and I responded publicly to them like, "I'm not a traitor. I'm an infiltrator."
Traitors.
I am.
You're not a traitor at all. You're
like,
well, you're a traitor to them. I guess you're a race traitor.
Even though that, I mean, they have a completely backward view of patriotism and the world and what it means to be a traitor, because you're not a traitor in any sense. They're the traitors who can't function. That's what I can't take with these, you know, fascists. If you don't like our multiracial liberal democracy, then you're free to F off to whatever authoritarian shithole you want to live in, but you don't get to turn our country that so many patriots fought, bled, and died for, and the founders fought a revolution to create and entrust to us. You don't get to turn that, you know, inspired by the liberal age of enlightenment, into some kind of shithole. That which is what they're trying to do, because they can't function in a free democratic society. They can't share with others. They don't like multiracial. You know, they don't like others. They don't like diversity, and that's part of the book where we were discussing last week how they were trying to root out the infiltrators by making them say the N-word, because, you know, liberals hate that. And yeah, we don't go around saying the N-word because we're not morons, we're not infants, we're not racist, we're not stupid, and we understand the historical implications of that word. But there were so many other words to use, you know, and it just goes to show you what who they are. And that's what was really struck me about reading what it's like inside one of those groups. I don't know how you stood it, Chris, really, but they are man children. They're not fully emotionally developed yet. Something happened. They're stunted, and it's all another performance. You know what I mean? They're performing masculinity now. Then they're going out and doing burpees and right.
It's all a performance on their side. Like, that's one of the things I talk a lot about on my network, is on Sick of This Shit publications. Outside of this is the whole masculinity thing, and theirs is a masked masculinity, as on the nose as that is. They wear masks and they hide who they are under a false identity as a person, with the mask and without the mask on. And they aren't really who they are. Like, they're under pseudonyms. They're not brave enough to use their own names or out themselves because they know what they're doing is wrong. They know for the most part that what they're doing is socially and financially and legally
Right.
unacceptable, and that if they're outed, they would suffer consequences. And just like my intelligent masculinity series talks about, is intelligent masculinity is not outsourcing your accountability onto others and accepting the consequences of your actions and values. They do the exact opposite. Like, this is literally training boys and men. It's the pipeline for boys and men to go down where they do not have to accept any accountability for their actions. They get to cosplay as Nazis or as though it's Call of Duty. um, and one of the one of the questions I had for you, Chris, on this, because I was reading through at the end of chapter 4, there's the part about where Vincent supposedly got a knock on his door in the middle of the night from the police, and he made that up. And just to before the December 4th, what was it, 2016 rally?
It's 22, I think.
Like, just
I
to put
forget
it
the
in their
date.
head, right? Just to make
Yeah,
them afraid.
he's putting in the head of those going to the rally of that part of the Network 8 and Patriot Front that the cops might be on to them somehow. And he's scaring them without trying to out himself as a infiltrator, and make it look like the heat is somewhat on him, to give him an excuse not to go.
Yep.
Obviously, I have some experience in this because I was an intel collector, and we learned to do source handling and interrogations. And a lot of what the character of Vincent is doing is source handling, is creating a network of sources that don't know he's collecting information from them, and then collecting information off of them, which he seemed to be pretty good at.
Mm-hmm.
Is that type of thing something you ever got into the position of needing to do, of like, or being able to do, of like scaring them ahead of time and then warning? Because like, the question that I know Vincent is grappling with is, when is the time to out myself in a way so that I can stop their activities? And how did you define like what that line looked like?
So in the latest episode of On Offense, I talk about some of my infiltration work, and I was vetted by Daisy Barr, who's a daughter of the KKK, and I mean that literally, like a KKK family, who was married to the founder, or I guess they are co-founders of the Aryan Freedom Network. And every year, the Aryan Freedom Network holds what they call the White Unity Conference. And this is where they invite white nationalists and neo-Nazis from around the country to go to they've held it at their own house, which is where they invited me. And they, proselytize and radicalize one another. It has very much the function of like the modern KKK, where it's like they're trying to be a church almost. Like, they had a tent set up where they go and listen to people rant and rave. So I was recruited into the Aryan Freedom Network entirely virtually. I did a skin check, which was all that was required for me to get in.
Wow.
And then they gave me an address of a gas station in a small town in northeast Texas, and told me a day and time to show up. So Task Force Butler went down to Texas. We had some other research that we were doing. That's where Patriot Front was headquartered. This was, within a year of my previous infiltration there. And we were looking to connect individuals within Patriot Front to properties and to businesses. That was the purpose of the overall trip. And the Aryan Freedom Network White Unity Conference just gave us the excuse for like that time and date. So I pretended to be there as a neo-Nazi until the event itself like kicked off. We rented an RV. I parked the RV right on top of the meeting spot. And I mean, like, exactly where they told me to be. I just parked the RV, and I had my drone that I would put out the window and fly up and gather, video of the cars that were coming and going. And these geniuses had the meetup spot directly in line of sight of the secret venue, which was their house. So there's a line of cars right next to my RV that I'm taking photos and videos from with the drone up in the air, and they're taking batches of new recruits out of this parking lot and driving down the street, just a straight shot, and making a left into a driveway. So I had the drone watch that and realized, oh, these people are fucking idiots. So I just drove even closer and sat in for a while in a church parking lot like a block away. And then we got a little bored of being so far away. So we parked right next to them and just flew the drone on repeated missions as long as the batteries would last. But right when I was at the spot, I pretended to have cold feet and acted like, oh, I saw this car and there was, guys who look like cops sitting in it staring at me. Right. And I'm describing their lookouts. So I'm pretending that their lookouts look like cops to me, which is a more believable story, because they're like, oh yeah, there is a car with people staring at it. Like, those are our people.
Right.
And I was like, nah, this is too fucking weird. I'm out. And it wasn't until I was actually safely out of Texas that I started live tweeting my experience and the drone shots. And Aryan Freedom Network waited no time at all. By Monday, they had a lawsuit out the door. I received my service of process for invasion of seclusion.
That's a thing?
They invited me to a party in an open field. There's no fucking conclusion.
I know.
Like, you invited me to your house. So
sorry.
That's just
they dropped the lawsuit.
Suiting you, really.
Yeah, because I was basically like, all right, fuck it. Because there's like 50 cars with a bunch of license plates. So the process of discovery would be more painful for you than it would be for me. Like, I'm an open book. I'll give you all of my fucking information. I don't give a shit. Like, it's just going to be information I've gathered about you guys. If you want that in a court record, let's fucking do it.
Let's go for it.
They dropped the lawsuit.
Funny how that works when the truth is about to come out. They're like, oh shit, maybe I don't want to do this. This seems like a bad idea.
Right.
And for whoever scanned the QR code, thank you. That goes straight to the Veterans Fighting Fascism Anti-Fascist Book Club guide, so that you can work on setting up your own in-person or your own virtual. Like, nothing is stopping you from doing this yourself. The book list is there. If you're reading along with us, you may as well start your own too. Like, it's not that hard. If you have friends who want to do it virtually and you can't do it safely locally, get a group of friends together. Like, get a call. Like, if I have old college friends or high school friends or work friends, and they're all in a similar mindset or are on a mindset of, hey, we like our democracy and we kind of want to make sure that the US doesn't suck and we don't hate other people for their skin color or their creed or something like that. Now's the opportunity to start your own. Like, before it's too late, because this is where you change hearts and minds. And it's an old military phrase of hearts and minds, and hearts and minds is how we win a war. You fucking win the war by winning hearts and minds. Like, we only win this if we change people's hearts and minds. Like, I'm not here for violence. I'm against the violence. I'm against the oppressive nature of violently making you see my way. Like, that's what we're trying to stop, is that sort of behavior. And so, like, follow along, help us read the books like we're doing, and then do it again. Start your own groups, because it's super important. And the more you get out now, the easier it comes, because we have until November to win elections. And that's really the last safe chance we have for elections that we know of. let's wait 2 more years to see what happens on the next presidential one, but we need to get through this year
Yeah.
to see where we go. And that requires hard work on our part and going out and reading the books and talking about them. And if you have the correct training, going and doing something to support your community. And it requires proper training. It requires learning how to safely do these things. Because if you try and infiltrate a Nazi group and you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah,
you can
don't do
get
that.
yourself killed.
Yep.
And that's the last thing you want. It's the last thing your family wants. It's the last thing anyone wants, because you're dead. Like, you screwed up. So
And we don't want,
very
we
apparent that
need everyone in this fight.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, and it's very apparent that Vincent knew what he was doing. The character of Vincent knew what he was doing. He was well trained and well informed on how to covertly take pictures, how to get into people's phones without them noticing, and making sure he did the simple cleanup step of like closing the apps he had open so it didn't look like he was in somebody else's phone. Like, you don't just inherently know these things. You have to learn and be trained on them. So if you're going to participate in that sort of stuff, like I think, Chris, you have resource guides too on how to properly create civilian defense groups and participate in a organized, well-regulated way.
Yeah,
And not
so the guides from Veterans Fighting Fascism and from Task Force Butler Institute don't go as far as infiltration. We don't encourage that, because I couldn't write a manual. It's too complex.
You have to go through training to actually do it.
Yeah, every situation is totally different. For what it's worth, me and my buddy Bad Gabriel, we just did it. Can
you just give a backgrounder for people who don't know what inspired you to, like you're saying, infiltrate these groups?
So my background is I used to be a lobbyist for a major veteran service organization for Vietnam Veterans America. So I was living and working in Washington, D.C. for most of the year, or for most of the summers. I was going back and forth between school and stuff. I was a full-time student while I was doing this, which is insane for me to even think about. So my buddy had seen tons of photos of me like at the White House during both the Obama and the Trump era. All pictures of me testifying before Congress. So he kind of made the assumption when he saw of these photos of me and me doing my very public veteran advocacy work. And I had been working with the FBI up to that point with for my research that was focused entirely on foreign threats to American troops, veterans, and our families. So I had been openly working with the FBI for years at this point. So my buddy figured, I know about this neo-Nazi organization. You know, I'm gonna tell my buddy Goldsmith about them, and he'll tip off the FBI, and they'll do a takedown. That's kind of the rationale that he thought. And to be honest, I mean, that sounds overly simplistic, but I thought it was going to be pretty simple too. I thought like I would just gather some evidence of this neo-Nazi organization, pass it off to the FBI, and they do a takedown.
Right.
That's not the way shit works. So my buddy called me randomly. We had never had a conversation anywhere close to this subject, and just says, "Hey Goldie, I joined a neo-Nazi organization, and I want you to help me take them down from the inside." Like,
I love it.
Literal cold call out of nowhere. Hadn't talked to him in months, and that's the call. So
that's awesome.
And I wanna ask too on this history point. Were you married and had kids at that time?
I was married. I was living in student housing in Manhattan at the time. No kids.
Would you have considered going down this path that you did had you had a kid at that point? I know this isn't an interview of you, but I think it's an interesting question around this, especially as people consider how do I get involved more, and how do I do it safely.
I think I went into this not knowing what I was getting into at all, and presented the same idea with the mindset that I had at the moment, which is he's exaggerating when he talks about Nazis. He's really talking about just like a militia like the Oath Keepers. I would have done the same thing without hesitation. But at the time, I had no idea what the fuck I was dealing with. I didn't know what I was dealing with until I was inside and exposed to it for several weeks, where I started to internalize like, holy shit, this is far more fucking dangerous than I realized. Like these guys are very often overlapping with actual terrorist organizations like Adam Waffen. If they're not involved, they're following them and they're learning from them and they're being radicalized by them. So the degree of separation between like people who've been arrested for planning attacks against the power grid, like people who've been charged and found guilty on terrorism charges, and Patriot Front is 1 degree. It's just 1 degree, one relationship. So if I had known or understood what I know now, would I have done the infiltration now that I have a kid? Probably not. But again, if I saw what I saw back then, like I don't think I could have pulled away either way. I'm still very publicly opposing these people. The threats that I face have not gone away.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, so
it's really unfortunate that they haven't gone away, but it's also understandable.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've noticed in this book so far is there is mention of the accelerationist movement and Nick Fuentes inspired things, plus the fact that it links back to a Russian neo-Nazi who really started this accelerationism, or who promoted it. But
So are you talking about Ronaldo Nazaro?
Alexander Slavrov or something,
okay.
I think it was. And it was, what I've noticed though is there's a very, at least Christopher puts a very clear distinction between Patriot Front had members who believed in accelerationism, but it wasn't a key concept that they promoted because it could out them more easily and make it more dangerous for them. What was your interaction around, like, did you get exposed to the accelerationist themes and motives during Patriot Front? Was there an underlying theme of it, even though they didn't want to acknowledge it? Because Nick Fuentes holds a lot of power right now in a bad way.
So Patriot Front is a true fascist organization. It's got fascist style leadership. Thomas Rousseau, the one guy who operates without a mask, is their leader. He sets the rules. He sets the agenda. Everything is enforced according to his wants and desires. So he keeps certain topics completely off limits. Like a member of Patriot Front will be kicked out for saying certain things a certain way within Rocket Chat. Though these rules are violated like all the fucking time, it is something that is in the back of their heads all the time. So they are acutely aware of the fact that there has probably not been a point that Patriot Front didn't have one active infiltrator since their inception. I know right now there's at least 2 active anti-fascist infiltrators in Patriot Front right this moment, because they're feeding intelligence to anti-fascists about Patriot Front's movements, and that intelligence has been accurate.
And if they're listening now, you just set them off. That's good.
Just keep your heads down.
Patriot Front knows.
You just
Patriot Front knows
made them paranoid.
So
yeah, make them more. The thing is, we want to make them more paranoid.
Yeah.
I'd rather, to be honest, if they had 100 infiltrators, that would be great because then they'd be afraid of fucking everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out and infiltrate because that is dangerous and that is a choice
Right.
you need to make personally on your own. And if you know how to do it, that's different. But if you're going in untrained, just know that there are a lot of dangers in that.
Yeah. And there has to be an
And
end game to it. I mean, to just go in and what are you doing there?
well, one of the questions from the chat that I wanted to get to from our friend Chris Northern is, are there ways to support infiltrators' work through proxy reporting, sharing the stories like those Phil Williams investigates, things that you do? Are there more ways that groups like Banner and Backbone and like what we're doing here can promote validated like leaks and information like that to put that cost out there?
yeah, so there are a number of journalists who are very very aware of who the reliable anti-fascist like anonymous collectives are online, at least their public presence. Christopher Mathias is obviously one of them. Uh, there's also Steve Monticelli of the Texas Observer, who's great. Watching their accounts for what they retweet or reshare on Blue Sky will give you these kinds of like, this fascist has been identified, here's what they've done kind of thing. And just simply amplifying their reporting and amplifying the social media accounts that they are following and retweeting will get you into the information ecosystem where you can be a part of imposing social, legal, and economic costs on these neo-Nazis. One of the, as Chris writes in the book, like the threats that members of Patriot Front face, and the reason why they wear their masks is because they know that it will mess up their not just their job. They won't just lose their job. They'll lose, if they have a relationship with a woman, they'll lose that. They'll lose their family. They'll lose the friends that they grew up with.
And that should say everything about the group that you're in. If
So-
you're going to lose your girlfriend or, your family, I mean, what's the payoff here?
So these anonymous anti-fascists, these anonymous collectives are all the time, exposing these folks and publicly posting this information out there. So simply just seeking them out and amplifying them is a great way to get involved.
Can you send me the other name that you had put down? I missed it. I got Chris's. I'm going to start following them and seeing if I can.
Stephen Monticelli is
Stephen Monticelli. Okay.
Yep.
Because, like you said, that type of thing is how we get the message out quicker.
Yeah, there's also, researchers like Jeff Tischauer, who I think is probably mentioned a few times in Mathias's book. Tischauer is one of the preeminent experts specifically in Patriot Front. He works for SPLC.
But unmasking, I mean, this goes back to the book really, because one of the chapter we're talking about, I think is called doxing, right? If I don't have it right in front of me.
Yeah, I don't. We're somewhere in the beginning half of the book still.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it really matters exactly which chapter. If you guys have some really good places you'd like to comment on those, absolutely.
Right. Because they make the point that just unmasking, even with all these consequences, is not enough because, and I think there's a story about how the lynchings became public even with unmasking. That's what happened to the Ku Klux Klan. There was a lot of unmasking happened. Then it became, because America was trying to publicly shame these racists into passing the anti-lynching laws, but they saw that there was no shame to this group. So there has to be more than just revealing who they are with the consequences, because clearly there's something deeply disturbing happening underneath that makes these people attracted to this kind of ideology anyway. right? This is the hate, that's what I'm saying. If you're losing your family, your job, your girlfriend, your relationships, your dog, your parrot, whatever it might be, everyone hates you with good reason. Like everyone is reviled. Let's just say reviled by you, repulsed by you. That's don't you and you're still involved. That says what are you getting out of it? Human beings are attracted to things that make them feel better. So what is it about these groups that what are they offering someone, and how damaged do you have to be to lose all of those positive things yet still be involved with this? It makes me wonder about, I'm just throwing it out there because I also have the same questions about the MAGA movement, the bowel movement of MAGA in general. What are you getting out of it, of this hateful cult?
Well, they're getting to live without consequence. They get to live stable as who they are this very second and never have to change. So MAGA and this accelerationist movement underneath that is around a lot of it is the end is coming, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hasten it there, and I don't have to change. Everybody else is the problem. And so it feeds into that tribalism, yes, but it's more than that. It's true indoctrination from cradle to grave for a lot of these folks. Is they go to a white nationalist church not by choice but because their parents go, and they learn the indoctrination, and then they learn that they need to suffer no consequences, and that like women are lesser than them, and that no act of a man is unjust under the eyes of God, or whatever the fuck they want to rationalize it with. They give themselves an excuse. And I did like the quote that it sounded from, I think it was the third or fourth chapter, where it was Vincent was talking with I think it was Ethan, who got his name revealed to be Jason because he let Vincent go through his cell phone. But it was this, it was how he came into, he had his awakening into nationalism and the neo-Nazi movement, and it sounded like a Christian reformist awakening, and that was the description of it. And I mean, it sort of fits because that's where they get most of their membership from. So I just thought that's an important piece on it. We're fighting a cultural degradation because so many men and boys specifically have been told everything is everybody else's fault. You need to stay in place, and it's a self-manufactured crisis to allow for these types of acts to become normalized.
That's right. Yeah, but it's the underwhelming. It's like the cult of underwhelming, aggrieved white boys, man children who feel ignored. That's what it seems to me. They feel like they're not special anymore or something, right? And this automatically, you belong to a group. Now you get an instant upgrade from nothing to part of the chosen, right? You're the chosen best people, only the best.
Yeah.
And without doing anything. You don't have to actually do anything to prove yourself, except, your greatest accomplishment was being born white and male, I suppose.
So with our book in mind and with a question here is, like, if you're in one of these groups and let's say a war breaks out, let's say the US decides to bomb Iran again and start an open war with Iran, and you're one of these groups, and the question was, will there be people taking advantage of the instability to harm Americans? If we started a war, if the USA started a war, do you believe, this is open for either one of you, Chris, maybe I want your thoughts on this. Do you believe that the white supremacist groups specifically would then take advantage to cause more chaos in the US to further destabilize us? I'm less worried about foreign threats right now from groups like Iran or others, and more worried about internal threats that would take advantage of it to create the conditions for more strict martial laws and like civilian crackdowns.
Well, I think that the foreign America hating dictators and like Russia, all of the, they're infiltrating us anyway, and they're making common cause with the homegrown Republicans and the maggots because I mean, look what Benny Johnson being paid by the Kremlin to spread pro-Trump propaganda. Tim Pool, same thing. And they still have audiences, which always baffles me how you deliberately tune in to somebody after knowing that they were a Russian asset being paid by America's enemies to spread these lies. I mean, why does Putin have any? Why does Putin want to spread pro-Trump propaganda in the United States? Because it harms the United States. It's not making America great. So, I think you're 100% right. Now because the Republicans have been whittling away at all of our safeguards too to expose these people and root them out of our system, and the social media billionaires have done the same, like on Facebook and of course on Twitter and all. If you go on, Twitter is a cesspool. I'm not sure if you've been there lately.
I try and avoid Twitter at all costs.
It's a horror show. Yeah, I mean, I try to avoid it too. I go on there to get videos or something that could quickly get a video, but I have to avert my eyes sometimes because I will get sucked in and start like having a fight with a bot, so I can't do it. It's really beyond. It's just hate, division. Anything you do is hate, back and forth, hating people, kicking down, of course, on trans people. It's like it is it's a toxic poison. It's just poison. It's evil, really. And I don't know. That's why we have what we're doing. And we can't win without getting the message back. And this is part of it, really, I believe. Otherwise, we're doomed. And one thing we have going in our favor for the midterms is that they haven't completely suppressed speech in this country. And that's why we still have hope. It's the same thing that happened in Poland. I bring that up as a latest example, again, about how they were able to push back their authoritarian takeover with the help of their independent media voices that could speak truth to the regime. But we do have our work cut out for us because it's going to get worse with these right-wing billionaires buying. Now they're making a deal, to buy Paramount. They're going to get all of these legacy media, whatever.
It's very Mussolini-like what they're doing with network
absolutely.
Consolidation.
Mm-hmm. And it has. I mean, if we get this country back, this has got to be on the list. The re-regulation of the media to make sure that a few billionaires don't own every soapbox, every platform, because that's how people fall into these cults, into the Patriot Front. As they know, the best thing that happened to them was the internet. So, go ahead.
So with that in mind, Chris, question towards you is: we had yesterday there was a incident here on Substack where one of our creators in our community had their entire account deleted.
What? Who?
Because they exist.
Dr. G-Pat.
Dr. G-Pat, your weirdo friend, had their entire account erased. And they are back out, putting themselves back out there now much more openly. And they came out and put their name on what they're doing. And I'll let Dr. G tell their story when I talk to Dr. G next, because I'm going to have them on. But like, how do you see that impact? Because we use Substack. Like, that is one of our primary platforms for a lot of us creators right now is Substack. How do you see what we need to do? Or what do you see as what we need to do to ensure that silencing does not occur on these types of platforms for us?
Substack has been extraordinarily resistant to any pressure so far to get rid of neo-Nazis, to do what Hamish, one of the founders and I guess the CEO of Substack, refers to as censorship. I don't know the details of Dr. Jukat's apparent banning, but what folks like us need to do is to keep in mind that every platform is compromised.
Mm-hmm.
There is no perfect platform. And there's like a pretty significant movement that I sympathize with, but just can't do what they're demanding, which is to get off of Substack, because Substack allows neo-Nazis, not just allows neo-Nazis, but allows neo-Nazis to monetize their hate. That is what they're doing here. And while I am sympathetic to the idea of boycotting things that you don't agree with or don't want to stand by, the fact is, like right now, Substack is my primary source of income.
Yeah.
And it is, like after taxes, it's like poverty level stuff, right? I'm not making a fucking living on this. If I were to just go poof, I'm giving that up. Okay, now I'm not effective because I've lost my platform and I've lost my source of income. So these like puritanical, like you need to leave, even Twitter. I don't think anyone should be on Twitter, but like people making demands that creators cut off their source of income and cut off their tools for activism is short-sighted. And I say this as someone who had a verified Twitter account, which was a very big fucking deal to me prior to a big deal for my career, prior to Elon buying Twitter and destroying it, right? Like losing that meant that I had to spend years building up other platforms to recover. I used to be able to bully the administration and the VA and the Department of Defense using my Twitter account because it was a powerful tool. Elon ruined that, so I miss it, but I'm not gonna ever go back to it.
Yeah.
But right now, like I don't have a choice. I can't go to another platform because trying to convert people from reading my Blue Sky, which get like 7 likes on something I post over there, into someone who's actually supporting my work monetarily is like proving to be impossible.
Right.
So,
but I mean, Substack. I agree. I didn't know that Substack was infiltrated with Nazis. I thought it was a little bit better than Twitter. It's not a cesspool, but I'm not going to get off Substack. I think it's as far as the social media platforms go, it's still the most I think monitored for that kind of abuse too. So. And I think it's less. I wouldn't go see. Twitter is done. It's over. It just goes to show you what Republicans and Nazis can do to something decent. They destroy it, everything they touch. But what were you going to say there, Chris?
It is the top of the hour. I have a hard stop, so I have to jump.
Let me put your QR code up so that you can promote yourself real quick.
Yep. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Thank you.
If you want to learn more about my work, you can go to On Offense on Substack. The podcast is anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's also on YouTube, hosted by the Bauer Media Network. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, but I've got a meeting that I've got to get to time now. So I will catch you guys later.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it a lot.
Bye-bye.
And Tara, I'll switch over to yours too to promote you as we close out the day.
Do that thing there that's on the screen, that Substack thing. What is that? A QR code? I don't know. Oh, we have a show tonight, 8:30 p.m. Actually, tonight we have an author. His name is Charles Derber coming on. He wrote a book. He's written many books. He's an interesting fellow, very fun guy. And he wrote a book called Fighting Oligarchy. And so we'll talk to him about that. So we'll, talking about history and how we apply the lessons of prior generations who overcame what we're going through to our current situation. And like I was saying earlier, breaking authoritarian control over the media. I think the media, and you and I, Nick, are on the same page about this. With the media is, I think we have two problems: primary, money and politics, and the consolidation of the media. That's why we're
Yes.
in this boat. But free speech, fighting the fascists, the taking over or letting the fascists own the information environment, let's say, is we can't allow it, because breaking authoritarian control requires us to own the message, get the message back. And that's a precondition to saving democracy, not an afterthought. So
Yeah, that's the first step. That's
Mhm.
the hardest part.
So thank you for your support. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for being with me too, Tara. I appreciate you joining in with us.
Of course. Thank you.
And make sure you do subscribe to Tara. Make sure you do subscribe to Chris. And then come subscribe with me at Sick of the Shit Publications, where I do my masculinity discussions and the cultural aspects, chronic illness, advocacy for disability and minority groups, promoting other creators. I'm at Sick of the Shit Publications. We just launched a new merch shop where we do things like Now You Know, so you can grow coffee mugs.
I love it.
And if you want, we have a new 32-ounce water bottle that says "Just Suck Less."
I like it.
It is a sippy straw water bottle.
I love it.
So it's a 32-ounce stainless steel metal straw lid water bottle that tells you to just suck less. Because that's really what I'm asking for, is for a lot of people, is just suck less, and a lot of us would be much happier. We'd be much better off if y'all sucked less.
Just a little less.
Just a little less, and the rest of us would be a lot happier. So come join me there, where I do those types of discussions. And then finally, come support us here at Banner and Backbone. The network is growing. We are building out some really cool tools, working on and have a network calendar for our affiliate networks and friends, where we show where we have all the shows listed. Tara, I want to get you onto that too, so maybe get your Friday night show at least listed. Absolutely. And maybe some of your other ones. I'd love to do that.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. on Political Voices Network, and 8:30 on Fridays, Tara Buster YouTube. So
awesome. Yeah, we'll work on getting you integrated there, because now we're posting on Blue Sky.
Wonderful.
We have automated posts on Blue Sky for our show announcements, so people know when they start. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, or TikTok. Twitch, YouTube, or Substack, Facebook. We've got tons of channels going on right now for the live show. But we advertise for both Substack and Twitch on Blue Sky right now. Follow us there. Follow us on Substack. Help us build this so that we can actually afford all the tools that we're building out for creators. It's going to make people's lives like this. We're working with others we're working with our friends at Centered America to help spread and build the message and get more of the content out there. So continue hanging out with Banner and Backbone. We really appreciate y'all. And we appreciate y'all being here with us for today's Anti-Fascist Book Club. As we continue reading Christopher Mathias's To Catch a Fascist. We will be back next week at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I think I got that time zone right. And we should be joined by another friend, Stephen Atchison, who's another veteran and veterans advocate, who should be joining us next week as well for the discussion. Try and get your own copy. I will again include the link to it where you can get it directly from the publisher and not through one of the larger distributors or retail, so that you don't feed into the fascist network. But yeah, join us next week. We really appreciate y'all for being here with us. I'm Nick Perro. this is joined by Tara Devlin of Terror Buster and previously Chris Goldsmith of On Offense and Veterans Fighting Fascism and Task Force Butler, and Tara's wonderful little kitty cat, and plus one in the back laying down on
Yes.
the
On the
on
cat
the stand.
Mhm.
So thank you everyone in the audience for being with us. I appreciate all of you for spending the time with us to learn. Now's your opportunity to go out, start your own VFF, AFBC, start your own book club locally, virtually. Come get the information, spread it to those around, put it on the airwaves, stack, reshare, and like. And we'll see you all next week, 1 p.m.
Yes.
Eastern.
See you
Thanks,
soon.
everyone.
Thanks, guys.